Hello, this is Chris Bichello. I am the artist for Death, High Cost of Living, The Uncanny X-Men, Generation X, The Witching Hour, Steampunk, and The Amazing Spider-Man. We're here at Rose City Comic Con, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Got to be a birthday thing.
Right on the first try?
Yeah, he like blew all the candles out in one breath. Now he gets to do it in one shot. So it's like, yeah.
You think after a few years.
For those of you playing at home, we've been informed that it's David's birthday month. Not just a day, not just a week, it's an entire month. So send all gifts and letters to admin@11o'clockcomics.com. I don't know how you're going to email him a gift, but you'll figure it out.
You figure it out. I am amazed, and listen, it's I shouldn't be amazed because it's cold in January. People get freaky. They gotta warm up. But there are a ton of birthdays in September.
Yeah, my wife and my daughter.
See?
Oh, look at that.
Yep. How about that shit?
Check your Dilf.
Yes.
I got the stepson of the owner of the nail salon is I think next week. A couple of friends of mine are next week. My dad's was Monday also. So it's
there. You go.
September's wilding out.
Yep. Hey everybody, welcome one and all. It's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 947, and I'm Vince B.
You are Vince B, and I'm David A. Price.
This is Big Facts, and of course, I'm Sir Galahad.
Okay. Why?
See? Relax, bro.
You're Sir Galahad. You're not Sir Galahad. You're Jason. You're Jason Wood, everybody. Together again. Sponsored by cheapgraphicnovels.com. As usual, cheapgraphicnovels.com gets you the books at the price you want to pay. Who wants to overpay for books? Retail? Get the heck out of here. Far below retail. And I bet you, if you check the price on cheapgraphicnovels.com and pop over to that Amazon, you could probably find it for less at cheapgraphicnovels.com. And you're not supporting yes, thank you. You're not supporting an evil empire. So cheapgraphicnovels.com. If you are a first-time customer, email comes in thanking you for ordering from cheapgraphicnovels.com. You're going to want to reply to that saying 11 O'Clock Comics sent me. They're my buddies. They showed me the way. And Max is going to give you free shipping on your next order. Savings on top of savings. It's like a Jenga of savings. We don't pull it out. We leave it in.
There's always heavy anticipation because he packages them so well that it takes a minute to get the stuff out.
It really
it does. Yeah.
You're like, oh,
and what's insane, but no matter so how well we know the box is packed well, and as soon as you take out whatever you've received, and then you try to close the box back up, even though you've taken out the contents, it's impossible. Just I don't know what kind of mystic arts and Jenga voodoo he does to get everything in there. The packers do, but the box is never flat when I close it back up, so I can put it down in the garage for recycling.
You don't break your boxes up?
I do on the night before, but
so if you do them when you get them, then you don't got to do that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
because
we break them up the second I get them. Beth gives me the setup. I don't.
Oh, me too.
No, I'll usually stack them up because the content, if there's packing material or anything in there, then it goes into the garbage. It's a whole thing. But yeah, no.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not surprised.
Extremely well.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. But they are, my man, the people who work at CGN should hold a master class, and the folks at Amazon need to take lessons.
What do you mean? Max packs them all with love. He even kisses the boxes as they go out the door. It's true.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
so Boo, how was your birthday? You were pretty quiet about it. It was low key or what? Would you?
Oh yeah, no, it was low key. It was a Monday, so it was and unfortunately, with it being the start of the semester, it always falls during the vacation blackout, so it's not like I can kind of we can take a trip. But this year, no, this year wasn't anything fancy. No, I also had physical therapy, so it's not like we could go out to dinner or anything, or I could make dinner or anything like that. So it was more or less kind of like a regular Monday.
Yeah. Congratulations, you went around the sun again. There you go.
That's right.
My man.
Made it.
Well, I mean, I like to bust your balls, but it is your birthday
You think?
month. So I have something special that I'm drinking.
Oh.
Yes. I am indulging my primal side. So it says on the bottle here. It is called it's a 2021 California Cab. It's called Carnivore. But it's not spelled the way carnivore is spelled. It's Carnivor. It is its meat was made for carnivore. I hope there's not meat in this. Our boldly blended Cabernet is an exceptional complement to your favorite red meat, layered with hints of rich blackberry, luscious caramel, or caramel, depending on what side of the fence and smooth toasted oak. Ooh. Wolverine would like this, what with him being Canis lupus and all that.
Bro.
Just thought I'd get that in.
You come out swinging?
It's in the new one. It's in the new Wolverine #1. He's running with wolves. He's like, he feels like one of them. And I put it on the Slack saying he should feel like one of them because he is one of them. He's a dog wolf thing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Thanks, Saladin.
Woof, woof. Wolverine.
All right, y'all. It's been good. Have a good night. Peace and love.
Thanks for stopping by.
So, Dap, salute. Many more.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, great minds think alike sometimes, at least occasionally. And I use the term great mind very loosely.
Very hurtful.
But anyway, I too am dusting off a little of the grape in honor of Dap's birthday week, and I am drinking a month. Yes. I am drinking a 2016 Tenuta Nerano Barolo from Piedmont, Italy.
Wow, my people.
Yes. Your people, exactly. And according to Mr. James Suckling, he says, it's a fresh, fruity red with plum chocolate and walnut aroma. It's medium to full-bodied with round tannins and a juicy finish. Easy to drink now, but better aged.
That's a very erotic description of that wine.
Oh, yeah. James Suckling knows what's up.
Well, his name, Suckling.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Live your best life.
So, l'chaim, my friend.
Thank you.
Damn it, I should have did that. What are you drinking, Dap?
Well, because we didn't go long, but I drank almost all of this during the pre-show. This was a Hendrix gin and tonic because Renee was in the mood for one, so I figured the hell with it, I'll just make two. But now that this is pretty much gone, I am going to move on to the other bottle I brought upstairs with me, the Michter's Single Barrel Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey.
Okay.
Excellent. Excuse me while I kiss this drink.
Yes, sir.
Hendrix? Anybody?
Yep, we get it.
Swinging for the fences today, my man. I love
it. Jason is not having it, and that's okay. Because I have some. I want to lead with this because I'm not going to get too in depth with it. Because when I tell you who it's by, what's the point, right?
Well, that's embargoed, so.
No, that's a different book.
Oh, not that? Oh.
No, we're here for the long haul. So I want to talk about this because it's kind of like a Fables riff where I don't usually talk about this artist's work because I hold it very, very near and dear to my heart, more than Fables, actually.
Yes.
So I rarely talk about it, him. And I think that's an oversight on my part because more people should know the magic behind these images and the man. Nestled inside my last box was Den, Volume 2, Muovum. And Dap, what is Muovum, Dap? It's a palindrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry, yes.
It's a palindrome. A hardcover by Dark Horse. And Dark Horse, say what you will about the company. They don't cast as long of a shadow as they have in the past, but they're still putting out really good stuff, as this is proof, because Mike has embarked on an upscale format for the Richard Corben archive. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know what they're calling it. Oversized hardcovers, beautiful presentation, gold foil on the dust jacket, printed board for the actual hardcover, so you really don't need the dust jacket, but it's a nice touch. And Jose Villarrubia is working on the restoration and the color replication. If there's anybody that I would put in charge of doing justice to Richard Corben, it's Jose Villarrubia. So all of the visual aspects of this book are super sound, super solid. It's not like, again, Dark Horse. Their EC Comics archive that they have, the paperback versions, those have all been recolored. And from what I've seen, they don't hold a candle to Marie Severin's original coloring. So you win some, you lose some. But in this case, I think the better material won. And again, this book it's Den 2, picks up right at the end of Neverwhere, but it's not really a Den book. Den is not the focus of this book. He appears in the first bunch of pages, and then he goes away, and then he comes back towards the end. So it's really a book about someone else, and I'm not going to get into that. What I want to talk about is the power of Richard Corben's art. Mm-hmm. It's kind of stupid and redundant to actually talk about his art, because Corben was such a force to be reckoned with that there's no analog to Richard Corben. Think about it. We can look at, like, you look at Art Adams, right? Who's the Art Adams analog, more or less, at Marvel?
Well, at Marvel. I was going to say, I think of Art Adams these days as Nick Bradshaw.
Right. Nick Bradshaw doesn't draw exactly like Art Adams, but it's in that zone. You could scour comics from the history, all of comics creation, try and find another artist that brought what Richard Corben brings to the page, and you will not find another artist. And that's kind of what, there's a bunch of text pieces in this. One of them is by Walt Simonson. And he basically says the same thing. Richard Corben there's no parallel to Richard Corben. He was who he was. He did what he brings to the table can only be delivered by him. And I totally agree with that. The thing about Corben is he took the heroic ideal from Frank Frazetta, who exaggerated it to begin with, and Corben exaggerates it even more. Den, you've seen Den, right? The guy's built like a brick shithouse. Mm-hmm. Massive bulk, just he's a mass of just coiled muscles, and he's got a baby arm. Let's be honest, because Corben draws Den nude, Den doesn't like clothing. And rightly so, because he's got a massive pecker. It's gigantic. And that's the thing. When the boy jumps over to Neverwhere, he takes the form of his ideal of what a man should be. And Den has no hair. So there's nothing between the eyes and the form of Den but his body. And he is gigantic. And all the women just love him. It's a little cringe, because, it's Corben working out stuff on paper, right? But, again, for his women, he does the same thing. He had a model named Karen Gilbertson who was extremely fetching, but very buxom, very, very much in the classical mold, wide hips, and Corben used her for everything. And so Dan and Kath are both Corben's ideal man and woman. And there's a point in this where Kath moves away from that. She's like, nah, I'm not having that stuff anymore. I cut my hair. I'm wearing clothes. You can be an animal all you want. I want to go back to Earth. And Den's like, what? We're like king and queen here. Why would you want to leave? And she's like, no, it's not you. It's me. I just want to leave. And so they go back to, that's where Den removes himself from the narrative. There's a little MacGuffin in the narrative that takes him back to Earth, but they come back at the end. So essentially, Den 2 there's a story in it, but Den 2 ends exactly where Den 1 ended. So I don't want to say this, but if you don't want to read this, you really don't have, I mean, you do, because it's Richard Corben. But as far as the story goes, the ending of Den 2 could be the ending of Den 1. The evil queen shows up for maybe 4 pages, does something, and then we never see her again. So if you're thinking that this is going to continue that story from Den 1, you're sadly mistaken. It does in a little bit, but it's basically Corben treading water. And this was done sequentially. He did Den 1 over a period of years and years and years. Den 2 was done, I mean, he was working on it all the time. And there was one thing that struck me in this book, and it's the universe again is playing tricks on me, because I encountered this in more than one thing I read this week. And I'll talk about that in a little while. But remember when Corben went over to Marvel and he did Banner and he did Luke Cage,
yeah.
And then he did the Edgar Allan Poe stories, and he did Ghost Rider. That was not a choice by Richard Corben. He hated mainstream comics. He didn't like the restrictions or the impositions of mainstream comics, didn't want to work on them, but he couldn't sustain himself doing his own work. Mm-hmm. That's friggin' sad. When you're what I consider the second greatest comic artist of all time, and you cannot sustain yourself by your work. You have to go do superhero stuff just to make ends meet. Like it breaks your heart. It really does.
I wonder if he was just a man out of time, or like if he could have done it like now, if he would have had more success with there being a much richer tapestry for getting your creative own stuff out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, he was a child of the fanzines. So he was doing covers for Rocket's Blast and all those things. And then James Warren saw him and he's like, hey, you're going to come with me. And that's where Corben pretty much blossomed at Warren. And then the fan base picked up on it. And Corben was voted best artist for a string of years because fans had never seen anything like this before. And we still haven't seen anything like this because it's Richard friggin' Corben. But anyway, he had no love for superheroes. Even though Den is in a sense a superhero, but he's not a traditional superhero. He's, no cape, no cowl, none of that garbage. But he had to work at Marvel. He had to go to one of the big two. He did a little DC work too. Not a whole lot. But it speaks to the total, it's almost an antagonistic or a belligerent attitude that people have towards the arts. It's like, it's easy to do. Let's rip these guys off. Or, we're not going to support it. Especially now with digital books. Like, let's just steal them. Like these are real flesh and blood people that have to pay bills like everybody else. And for Richard Corben to not be able to support himself from his art, that's just a crying shame. That's my takeaway from Den 2. I mean, it is some of his best work. The story's a bit weaker than Neverwhere because it really doesn't focus on Den, but it's a compelling story. There's all the things you would expect from Richard Corben. There's nakedness and giant, disgusting Lovecraftian creatures, and there's a huge penis monster towards the end of it. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's among the finest comics ever created, and the guy had to work on stuff he didn't want to work on just to pay the bills. Super sad. So, I implore you, if you've never read Richard Corben, get in on this Dark Horse Corben archive. Some of us are reluctant to do so for whatever reason. I'll never be able to figure that out. But you need these on your bookshelf. If you have Kirby on your bookshelf, you need Richard Corben.
And there's
Needs it.
You do.
We've gotten Murky World,
Mm-hmm.
Neverwhere, and now Muovum. That's what's been published so far. I know
Yeah,
we've got
Children
one
of Fire
soon.
is I think in our box this month, and the 5th volume is solicited in this previews.
Because I think 4th and 5th were, or 3 and 4, Muovum and 4 were canceled and resolicited.
Yeah, which was
Either 3 and 4, 4 and 5, but yeah, they were.
Yeah, I just hope that the train keeps a rolling, because we need Rolf and we need Child and we need all that stuff. I have all of them, but you got to
ask your estimate on how many you think they would be altogether.
If they do all the Corbins, like everything that he's done, a lot. Depending on the thickness of the volume and how they group them, because like the Rip in Time stuff for Warren, that would take a volume. But they've already reprinted those in the Eerie and the Creepy archives. But I don't know. I know that's not going to stop Mike Richardson. If he's going to reprint this stuff, he's going to reprint it in mass. So I don't know. I don't know how many. I would say no less than 10. Yeah, and they're a little on the high end. Like I think, what are they, $39.99 for?
And I know you.
But it's worth it.
It's got the spot varnish. Yeah, $34.99.
34. So after discount, you're paying $20 and change. So it's not bad.
You either get it from DCBS when it's solicited, or you can pre-order it from Cheap Graphic Novels. There's a slight price difference, but still you're not paying cover price.
I don't want to slight,
World, of course.
I don't want to slight Mark Schultz or William Stout or anyone who has ever committed a dinosaur to paper, but y'all don't do it as good as Richard Corben. Sorry,
He is good. I mean, Schultz, is no slouch.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you're right.
I think Mark would agree with
doesn't
me.
Have a number on the cover, so
no, because it's not connected to anything.
Right. So Den, the 2 Den books so far, we got 1 and 2. So they're just, I suspect they'll just number the volumes that are specific to a certain character.
Right. Like Mutant World's gonna. I don't know if they even are gonna do Mutant World, because that was a Kickstarter and that's already been cleaned up and published in hardcover. So they'll probably skip Mutant World and Son of Mutant World. But there's Jeremy Brood. There's the Arabian Nights one. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that they can reprint. A Boy and His Dog that he did with the Harlan Ellison story, Vic and Blood. There's tons of Corben that they could do. Plus all the underground stuff. Shut up. There's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yep. So Den 2, Muovum, Palindrome, Richard Corben, just go get it. The man's color work is unparalleled. You will not see better color work anywhere. It's just true. It's no hyperbole. It's the truth.
You ain't lying.
Yeah. I mean, some of us don't believe that, but,
Jesus. Well, you talking about how sad it is that he was unable to support himself, unfortunately does segue kind of naturally into something we do definitely have to mention tonight, which is we lost a number of comic creators this week, and they were young men, way too young to have gone. And the segue is that the person that passed away today is Karl, or we found out today that he passed away, is Karl Moline, who was 51 years old. And he we don't know exactly why he passed away, but he's been very public as having some pretty significant health issues in the last few years in his stomach and stuff. So but I don't know that I don't remember ever meeting Karl at a con. But and he wasn't the most prolific of artists, certainly, but I really always thought he had a very nice line. I really did.
I think we've met him.
Yeah,
I think we met him.
I want to say maybe at Heroes.
Not recently.
Story.
No, Karl.
I know we had Karl's story, but
I think we met him in. Let me check my drive here.
Because you wanted Karl's story to ink your Terry Moore on the Jam piece, right?
He did ink it. Yeah, Karl's story did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think probably the first time I saw Moline was back in the CrossGen days.
Yeah.
He also did a bunch of work for Marvel. I guess if in as much as his biggest commercial success was working on the Buffy books, he was the co-creator of Frey, who's one of the Buffy characters. She's the Buffy from the future, and I know he did a series, a Rogue series, which looked beautiful. Maybe like a decade, maybe more than that ago at Marvel. Yeah, he was a really talented guy, and the segue that made me think of it when you talked about Corben is that he had been very public about how being a freelancer and getting sick is just financially devastating because as a freelancer you don't work and when you're sick, and he had fallen really behind financially, and he said the Hero Initiative pretty much saved his life at the time by providing him with the money he needed to pay off his bills. And so I think his family, in deference to that, have asked that to anyone that wants to, pay tribute to Karl or the passing of anyone else, to consider a donation to the Hero Initiative. So I thought that was a nice thought.
Yeah.
And wanted to pass that on. And then, of course, the other person of note that passed away this week is, admittedly, a far, probably wider known creator. We've certainly talked about this man a lot over the years, and frankly, not always as complimentary as we have at other times. But his impact certainly is undeniable, and that's Mr. John Cassady, who was only 52 years old. So two of our legitimate contemporaries passing away, which is
it's very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I like a lot of what Cassady did, but handsome motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
see, that's and
Mark
so
Waid
he
made a
will
comment about that in
always-
his eulogy.
He did?
He will always be Sawyer to me because in in the lobby, not the lobby, the bar, Wizard World, Chicago. I think the first one is either the first or second one, but hanging out with Pat Loika, Cassady would come in and everybody just, and this was before I ever saw Lost, but everybody just immediately, for whatever reason, people just kept referring to him as Sawyer from Lost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I always kind of picture him. So yes, he was an extremely attractive artist.
Yeah, and I mean, I think again, this is a guy that we've spoken about a lot of his work. I think that no matter what, I don't want to be revisionist here because the gentleman passed away. We were certainly critical of his art in the last decade because it seemed like he fell in love with tools and digital tools and photo ref to the point where it kind of made his work very stiff. But that being said, I mean, you can't take away the stuff that he made. No. That I think Planetary is one of the best comics of our lifetime, and Astonishing X-Men, absolutely one of the best X-Men runs. If you're kind of grouping them, it was a fantastic run, and the guy was definitely and also very prolific. I mean, he was the person that Marvel chose to be their first lead artist when they got the Star Wars license back, and he also did a lot of work outside of the big two. Probably the thing that I remember most is Je suis Legion, which was a bande dessinée that he worked on for a number of years, and I have it. I have actually, oddly, both the French version and the English version. But just an incredible career, and it's just baffling that these guys are passing away at 50. Man, it's like Jesus.
It's crazy. I have a related story, but I do have a Cassady story. I don't remember what year it was, but we were at New York Comic Con a long time ago. It couldn't have even been a Wizard World. But anyway, I had a couple cable issues that I wanted to get signed by Ian Churchill. Just the covers, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but Cassady was sitting next to Churchill. And I said, blah, 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 can you sign this? I think your work's great. And Cassady said, you want him to sign that trash? I mean, obviously he was kidding, but seemed like a real good-natured guy. Didn't know him as well as we know others, but he seemed like a dude, and it's sad that he's gone and will never grace a comic page again. It's very sad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But on a related note, I saw a video just today, like, again, synchronicity, right? It was with Moon Zappa. And she said that when Frank died, he was millions and millions of dollars in debt.
Wow.
Because he didn't have health insurance.
Nope.
Because it was too expensive. And she was coerced into giving her home to her mom to help pay for some of the medical bills. And then her mother turns around and gives 30% of the estate to Amit, 30% of the estate to Diva, and 20 to Moon, and 20 to Dweezil.
Wow.
Like, what a bitch. But anyway, yeah.
Tough, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Let's bring it up.
Make sure you give me 20% of your estate, okay?
Let me see. How many kids do I have? 3? I don't think that's possible.
Sure it is.
No, it's not. 3
Give
kids
Dad
plus
20 and me 20, and your kids each get 20, and then we're set.
I think you're forgetting someone. The person that actually makes the money.
Well, I assume she'd be going with you. You'd be driving off a cliff with her.
Oh, it's like a Thelma.
Finally, I've had enough. You're like, I'm taking this boat.
Like Thelma and Guido. That's how that movie went down.
I'll just hear you see, as you're careening over the Sicilian windy road cliff. We just hear us.
Dude, there's no guardrails out there either.
I know.
It's crazy. Yeah. But then again, they don't have snow, so it doesn't really matter. You just don't drive like an asshole.
And they zigzag like they like drive through like past each other.
I don't think they drive. They don't drive hazardously. They drive.
Disagree.
I don't think so. I think you're just being.
I mean, I don't know where. Like on the Amalfi, there were people just like parked on like the cliffside, like it was a parking lot.
Well, we didn't drive on the hoity-toity roads. We went where the people were.
Where
the people were.
Hoity-toity.
There are lots of people where I was. That's the point.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Right. What else do we have? Bring us up because we need some happy fun time.
I'm going to bring us up. Do you want to talk about? I'm going to give you a choice. You want to talk about dragons? You want to talk about ninjas? Or you want to talk about mushrooms?
You can't talk about mushrooms. Well, you can, but don't be specific because I didn't get my box yet. Once a month. So you can't talk UFO mushroom invasion in detail. Well, hey, we don't. I mean, we're patient people. We don't need our books every week. Instant gratification.
It's not like your show to do anything, but that's cool.
Oh, but because I didn't read a ton of stuff for this show.
It's totally cool. All right, so dragons or ninjas?
I love David Dasmalchian, so I want to hear about the ninjas.
David Dasmalchian, what?
He wrote that. The Dragons versus Ninjas or whatever the hell that book is?
I'm not talking about that. What are you talking about?
It's on your list.
What are you fucking talking about, dude?
Samurai versus Ninja. Adventuregame. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry.
I don't even know who you're talking about. Yeah, but that is the book that Vince apparently
I'm totally befuddled. About. I don't even know what this is.
Wow.
This is actually the third volume in a series that I discussed while you were away on your trip to Italy. And I had to soldier on without you. This is Adventuregame Comics Volume 3, Samurai vs. Ninja by Jason Shiga. He has been doing these amazing little pocket books, like they're just, they're like smaller than a digest even, and they're much like Meanwhile was. These adventure game comic books are choose your own adventure comics done in his inimitable way, where you have to make choices on the page and then jump ahead or behind to another page and continue the narrative, which makes them incredibly rereadable. Yeah. And they're very simple books, right? Like he's not trying to, he's not trying to write Ulysses here. He's just trying to tell a fun story. They are all ages, very fun. He has a very simple cartoony style, but as you may imagine from the title, this one is a story set in feudal Japan, where our protagonist, the book opens where he is born, and essentially his father is like, you have to choose. As he's a toddler, there's a pile of weapons, and then there's a pile of, I think, flowers, and he's like, all right, son, you have to choose between being a warrior, and I'll train you to be the best warrior possible, or a life of peace, and I'll leave you be to that. And of course, that's your first choice in the book. Now, admittedly, just like with any choose your own adventure, if you choose peace, the story ends very quickly. Because so then you go back and you choose warrior, and then you have to choose in a few pages if you want to be a samurai like his father or a ninja like his mother, and then you go on from there, and ultimately leading to you having to fight and avenge the loss of your loved ones. You have to fight the evil lord Tuma, and it's just fun stuff. It's really, really fun stuff. The book a few weeks ago I talked about was Leviathan, and then there's another one called The Beyond. And these are all published through Abrams, through an imprint called Abrams Fanfare, which is their all ages imprint. And they're delightful, man. I really love them. And I know we don't often talk about all ages books on the show because generally we're, grown ass men, so we probably don't read a lot of all ages stuff, at least like we don't actively seek it out. So when we do find something, I always think it's important to punctuate it because I know a lot of our listeners do have the youngsters and always are looking for entryways to get them addicted to this hobby like we all are. And this is a perfect way to do so.
Nice. Look at you.
Rereadable. So yeah, really fun. And it's nice to be back into the Jason Shiga universe because I very much did enjoy his stuff back in the day, most notably Meanwhile. And so it's great to have him back doing comics.
He's ridiculously talented, that guy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Again, fun fact. Just today in class, I said to my students, there was at least 50% of them did not do a homework assignment. And
already? The semester just started. Jesus.
Well, this is second class. I gave them 2 more classes to get it done, and half of them still didn't get it done. But whatever. And I told them, I said, you are smack dab in the middle of a choose your own adventure book. I said, and they're all like, what? They didn't know what a choose your own adventure book was. Uh-huh. And so I had to explain it to them. I said, you are deciding your fates. And by not doing the homework, you're turning to page 107. you're effectively ending any story. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell them. But anyway, more comics.
More comics. Let's hear
more
it.
Comics, dudes.
The limited series by Jerry Duggan and John McCrae has made a return, a sequel of sorts. Dead Eyes. The Empty Frames is the name of this particular tale. And yeah, we pretty much are picking up right after where the previous series ended, and it's pretty interesting. Martin, of course, is the burglar known as Dead Eyes, and his woman Megan calls him while he's having after he has a meeting with a couple of other ne'er-do-wells that he's worked with in the past, because apparently her friend specifically, that they gave money to, that Martin and Megan gave money to take care of her hospital bills. Apparently the hospital just it was suspicious to see this woman paying her bill with cash. So the cops were called, and they can legally take it from her. Something called civil judicial forfeiture is what the cops said, and basically they suspect it's from drug trade. So Martin decides to fix this problem, and he goes to the hospital administrator, scares the hell out of her, but then she screams because he's asking her, "What's your take?" So she screams because he catches up to her in the underground parking lot. So of course he comes out of the shadows. She shrieks, and he basically just kind of karate chops her in the throat, and he's like, "Listen, I'm pissed at myself. I hate hitting broads, but you deserve it, because when you ring the cops to come and take some giant stack of cash from a sick person, what's your take? So she gets 10%, but apparently she's kind of grandfathered into this because the person she took the job from, the person retired, she got the job. They're continuing it. So these two cops come in, and Martin knows exactly who they are, and he kind of just makes his presence known that the jig is up. This little scam they're running, it's over. And then he goes about his business, and this was a little bit of a side quest because the issue starts off with him telling a story from back in the day where these two crooks dressed as cops stopped by the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and they tie up the guards that are on duty, and they proceed for the next 90 minutes strolling through the gallery, and they take a utility knife and cut out the paintings from the frames because the frames are alarmed. Touch the frame, the jig is up again, like I said. So they don't just take the canvases; they're smashing the place up again, not moving the frames or anything. And one of the guys is walking out saying, "Yeah, we're going to be rich," and they had to make like several trips between the museum to their little, like, I don't know, 1974 Gremlin or whatever the hell they're in. But they also stole some chocolate bars from the vending machine. And but the feds have been trying to crack this case for decades. Boston's finest are still basically clueless. Martin's telling the story that they've gone to psychics and PIs and internet sleuths, and everybody's got a theory. And apparently even when Whitey Ford is even shown in the shadows saying, "Find him, where's my fucking cut?" So like this was all kind of hush hush. Nobody knew what was going on. The empty frames apparently still hang in the museum, waiting for the canvases to be returned. Anybody who may have been rumored to be associated to the caper end up dead. There's rumors that the paintings went to Ireland or Japan. They're all wrong. Apparently, according to Martin, paintings never left the Commonwealth. He knows where they are, and that's the story he's telling his two buddies, who and he's still giving them shit because he's like, listen, a wheelman shouldn't be drinking, but even if you are, you shouldn't be bringing the bottle of vodka with you, because once it rolls from under your seat and gets lodged under the brake pedal, everybody's screwed because these guys are all bandaged up. So that's absolutely what happened. But he, after he visits the two cops, he makes his way to the museum and lets the curator know that strikes a deal with him and tells him that you give me $10 million in cash, unmarked bills, you'll get your canvases back. And that's kind of where we leave it with this first issue. So there was a little bit of catching up to do. We didn't get a lot of Megan. We see her for a couple of panels because she's just there to relay to Martin what's going on with her friend. But yeah, Martin's back into the thick of it. Megan knows what he does, what his extracurricular activities are. So that secret's out. But for somebody who is going to wash his hands of that life and become an honest man, that hasn't happened yet, but hopefully with this $10 million, maybe it will. But yeah, so it should be an interesting next couple of issues. McCrae's art is solid. I like it a lot. The issue is bright, which is surprising since a lot of the characters are in shadows and it happens at night and you're supposed to be doing things in the dark. But the colors by Spicer, who of course does wonders on the WJ stuff. is rocking. But yeah, it's it was a nice return. I think I don't know if it was supposed to return shortly after the pandemic. I know it's been a while. I don't know if this is intentional, or they were waiting for things, or this was just finally when everything could happen. But no, I'm glad it's back. The first series was pretty fun. I like the character. I like the idea of it. So yes, I'm stoked now that it's back, and really interested to see how this what kind of mess he gets into before things hopefully work out in his favor over the next few issues.
Mm-hmm. You know, with it's funny with certain creators, when you hear their name, you think of like something just immediately pops in mind. When I hear John McCrea, I just immediately think of Hitman.
Wow.
Sure. Like, even though he's done a million other things, it's like I just think of him as like, it's just.
I think Demon.
I get that.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
And then Demon is still
both with Garth Ennis. I mean, he's a Garth Ennis guy.
Yeah. And then Hitman, but Demon first. I have
You know how I feel about the rhyming demon.
I know. You just put him in the Corben file. I have a massive thank you.
Oh my God, you're so pressed over this.
I am. It has me some kind of way, but whatever. I have a huge thank you.
Huge.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Our buddy Daniel Bryan was at Desert Island in Brooklyn, and he knows I love that place. And he sent me a package of stuff.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, my dude. And it's really odd because, well, it's not odd, but he was amazingly, whether it was luck or whether it was just foresight or investigation on his part, but he got me comics, but then he got me a horror magazine, Horror Fan, right? And within the pages of that magazine was an interview with Bob Clark. Jason, I'll say 2 movies and you'll be like, oh, Porky's and A Christmas Story. So you know those movies.
Of course.
But Bob Clark had 2 different careers, in a sense, because he started on horror films. Not only did he do Deranged with Robert's Blossom and Black Christmas and Death Dream, which was Tom Savini's first work, but he also did my favorite film of all time, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. So how the hell did Daniel know? How did he know? I don't know how he knew, but he did.
Because he's a loyal friend and listener.
Yes, because that was in the box. So also in the box, and this ties into the Corben discussion, also in the box was Joe Matt's Peep Show, number 15.
Wow.
Yes, and this is the issue which was posthumously published because Joe Matt died, apparently at the drawing board, on September 18th, 2023. And the thing about this issue is, there's a lot of things about this issue that are colored in a much different light now that Joe Matt is no longer with us. Because in 2003, HBO optioned Peep Show for a series. And during the, when they option something, they throw a bunch of cash at you because, okay, now we have the option to film this or not, and it lasts for a certain amount of time. But they gave him a check for $5,000 for optioning Peep Show, and he's like, "That's $1,000 less than my best year in comics." So in all the years Joe Matz has been making comics, he made $6,000 in his best year. That's not sad.
That's depressing. Yeah.
That's very depressing.
It is,
But it's ridiculous, but it just goes to show you that art's not valued. And yes, one could say that the kind of comics that Joe Matt made would not connect with a large amount of people. That's very true. But Joe Matt idolized Robert Crumb. And there's not a whole lot of difference in the content of Joe Matt's autobio comics and the content of Robert Crumb's comics. The execution is very different. But, and there's one section where Joe Matt is selling books. And one of the books he's selling is Robert Crumb's Genesis. And he's like, man, I tried to read this thing a bunch of times. I just cannot get through with it. The art's great, but the story, it is so fucking boring. And I'm like, Joe, if you were still alive, I would give you a big hug because Genesis is the one Crumb book I just can't read. I can't read it. I can't get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway. But there's one incredibly sad moment where Joe Matt is moving to the States in 2003 because he'd been living in Canada illegally for, I think, 12 years. And because of the HBO thing, he wanted to move to the States, specifically California, so he could be, close to where the thing is made, should it get made. And at his farewell dinner, and you know that Joe Matt and Seth and Chester Brown were like the three amigos. They were very tight. And so he moves back to the States from Canada, and at his farewell dinner, Seth pays tribute to his friend in a very backhanded way. He praises him on the one hand, and on the other, he smacks him because he says Joe Matt was the sand in the oyster that kind of instigates the creation of the pearl, right? He said he's the most infuriating, petty, and there's a laundry list of derogatory things that Seth said about him, but he said it with love, meaning like, you're a real pain in the ass, but nobody here is going to be the same without you. And it was at a farewell dinner. At the end of the dinner, Joe Matt takes Seth's notes that he had made for the speech just to use them in his work. And it turns out that Seth was not only saying goodbye to his friend who was moving to the States, but it serves as a very touching and poignant send-off in this issue. Because this is the last Joe Matt we're ever going to get. And Seth basically eulogizes his friend at the same time. In retrospect. It's incredibly sad. But it's very well done. And like Crumb, Joe saw saw the chinks in his own armor. He had a penchant for very young Asian girls, much like Crumb had a penchant for thick. I guess you could say that. Is that a bad word to say? Thick with two C's?
Nah, thick's good.
Yeah, Crumb had an attraction to thick girls. Well, there's a lot of that in here. He becomes entangled with a woman who's Asian, and she thinks that he just wants to be with her because she's Asian and young, and he met her through his comics, and she was basically 18 when they started hooking up, and yeah, so it's very Crummian, but it's a great issue that's all the more sad now that Joe's no longer with us, because it colors a lot of the events of the comic in a entirely different light than I'm sure was intended by Joe Matt, who actually drew and wrote the thing. I hope he had no idea that he was going to die. So, and some of the pages were finished by Chester Brown because Joe was not among the living to do it. So, Peep Show 15. It's a really great issue. And on the front, it has Joe Matt on the shitter reading. Like, self-deprecating humor is actually the best humor, I think. So,
well, that is a mighty nice gift.
It is, yeah. He also got me. You read this, Jason? Shadows over Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. Oof, that was something. Yeah, but maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later. So thank you, Mr. Brian.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to thank him again. Big old bear hug, buddy.
Nice. I was going to say, while we're in the thank you portion of the section, we have another thank you, and that is for longtime friend of the show, Mr. Darren Helsel, who was at the Rose City Comic Con last weekend, I believe it was, and it's his local show, and he went with his daughter. And while he was having himself a ball, he was kind enough to go around to the tables and get us some new bumpers. How about that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We got a street team out there just hustling for
that's
us.
amazing. But and you will hear, well, you already heard it. One of them leading off this episode. It's a get. It's a big time get. Yeah.
So much love to you, sir.
Big love, huge love.
We got to meet Darren at our one and only Emerald City Comic-Con.
Yes, we did. Yeah. One of these days we'll go back there. I think we do Baltimore before.
I'd like to go back now that because we went during the pandemic. It'd be nice to
Yeah.
see what it actually like what it's like in a quote unquote normal year.
I thought there was decent traffic.
It was, but it was definitely not the kind of vibe of what we heard about Emerald City for years about what a great con it was. And it was great to be back together. It was the first time we'd all been together in a long time because of the pandemic, but it was definitely not its normal. I mean, anybody knew that was there it was about a half or a third of the normal size, and you had to be masked up inside. And it just, to your point, I'd like to go back under more normalized circumstances.
Yes. Birthplace of the infamous Liam Sharp incident. Hiya.
Dead to me.
Yeah.
May he rest in pieces.
Well, if his sales are any indication.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, you fucked with
Karma's
the
a
UFC.
bitch.
Karma fucks
that's
back.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't think his karma dictated
it is what it is.
Starhenge. Yeah.
It is what it is.
We were having a conversation at the shop, and Dave said, "You reading this Starhenge?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What's it about?" I said, "I have no freaking clue." Zero. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, my friend.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, Vince, you said you chose Ninja, but now you're going to choose Dragon.
Wait, I want to clarify. The book I was thinking of is called Knights versus Samurai. It's from Image, and Davis Desmalchian is the writer.
Okay.
It's an easy mistake. Right. Knights versus Samurai, whatever you said, Adventure Time. Yeah.
Adventure Game Comics.
Yeah, there you go. It's right in the show notes.
That's a cool way to pay attention.
I did. I actually cut and pasted it from your list.
Nice. Okay, great. Yes, so it's time to talk dragons because we got the third and final volume of Sea Serpent's Heir. This is Sea Serpent's Heir, Book 3, Queen of Mercy, written by Margaret Scott with art by Pablo Tunica. And I have spoken about the prior volumes over the years as they've come out. This, for those that don't remember, this is a high fantasy series that is being published through Skybound. It is a story that surrounds a young woman named Ayala, and she's raised by a group of strong women. Her mother is one of the a Belit style queen of the pirates, and she's got some aunts that also have helped raise her, and they're kind of running the desperado pirate life, kind of their own little society, and then they live in a world though that is controlled by a religious organization, and they're kind of at odds all the time. And over the course of the volumes that we've already talked about, Ayala realizes that she is imbued with a power. She is connected to a ancient dragon spirit named Xir, Xir, and she can basically manifest Xir when under stress, kind of like a superpower. And there's a prophecy that suggests that if she manifests Xir, she will bring about the end of the world. So she's very obviously her family know about the prophecy, and so they try and keep her from accessing her power. They try and shield her from those events to try and prevent the end of the world. But over the first 2 volumes, things happen where it makes that impossible. She basically, the church goes to war with her family and her community, and that leads to her mother being killed, or so she thinks. And in volume 2, she manifests Xir and becomes a giant, like a red Fing Fan Foom type of a dragon creature, and lays waste to a big part of the city. And it looks like the prophecy's coming true, but then we find out that her mom, in fact, isn't dead, but captured. And lo and behold, there's a hornet's nest where her aunt, who is a sorceress, has actually been machinating from behind the scenes, and she's actually the ne'er do well. She has taken over the church she has taken over the body of the head of the church and possessed it, all with a plan to eventually steal Zir from her niece and then wield Zir to take over the world. And that's where the second book left off. So this third and final volume is the culmination of everything, where all the parties sort of that have been dancing around the first two volumes kind of pick sides, and we get the big final face-off where Ayala has to try and reconnect with Zir in an effort to stop the end of the world. And it's amazing stuff. It is great, really well done high fantasy. As I've said in the prior conversations about the first two volumes, I love Tunika's art. It is just the right amount of cartoony, but I think he draws really expressive faces. It's not dissimilar to the way that manga works at its best, right? Where, the faces really tell the story and the creature designs are just totally over the top. Although I will say that unlike a lot of manga, this is fully colored, which certainly I think adds a nice element to it. And it has a highly satisfying conclusion, which I will leave for those of you that want to read this to eventually read it. But yeah, loved every bit of this, man. I think that I didn't intend to come with multiple all ages books this week, but that's just how it worked out, and because of the timing of the release of these. And I really do hope that Skybound puts out a collected hardcover of the whole thing, because it'll read really well. And hey, it's a book that Tilly Walden considers one of her favorite books of the last few years. So if it's good enough for Tilly, it's damn sure good enough for all you fools. So do check it out. If you like fantasy comics, you'll love this. Sea Serpent's Heir, Book 3, Queen of Mercy.
Wow. It's a bit presumptuous, don't you think?
No.
Wow.
Listen, this is what Tilly Walden had to say about it, Vince. Enchanting and dreamy, like a mashup between Miyazaki and Del Toro, with heart, mystery, and adventure. I mean,
see, that's a good pull quote. But normally I don't like, it's like The Simpsons meets Breaking Bad. Like, I don't like it when they take two things of which we already know and say, oh, it's like this and this. But at least she embellished a bit, which is really good. Usually they leave it at it's like blank meets blank, and that's kind of lame. There's no work being done there. But that's just me.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Dap, you want to kind of dance around that book?
I would love to.
All right. We can't really speak on this book in detail because it doesn't come out till next week.
Yeah.
But Image was very kind to send us a preview copy of Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo's, I want to get this right, The Moon is Following Us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this book is... Now, what do you expect when those two names are on the cover? Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo, who I'm glad is getting into the creator-owned arena, because it's more than past time to stop drawing other people's property and draw your own. But anyway, I expect... there's a very, very high expectation with those two guys on the front cover. Am I wrong?
No, you are not. No.
Yeah.
You kind of envision something, and you're still blown away. It's as soon as, like, they pretty much kind of hit the ground running. But yeah, you are thrown into this world. Intentional confusion, I would think. But holy hell, it's absolutely, it's a visual. It is extremely visually entertaining, and I'm in love with the characters.
Some of them.
Yes, I had to laugh when I saw the when I saw someone say "so weak."
Yes, I did too. So weak. So weak.
And but our girl's got quite a backdoor. There's just so much. Yeah, we're obviously going to dance around things here. You cannot. I'm not sure if Image has released preview pages for this, but it's.
Well, there are three. Well, there's two preview pages within the gallery for this episode. They're not very plot specific. I just wanted to they're very low res anyway. To just show everybody what they can expect, and the covers in there too. But it's inventive as hell. Like there's a conceit built into the book that very non-specific. There's something built into the book where anything in this realm is possible. Did you
take the 3 pages from the Image Comics site, Vince?
No, I got them from the preview book. Should I not have?
Oh, well, no, I was asking because you said you picked 3 pages and there are...
No, I got them from the PDF.
Question. No,
right, but it's got...
No, my point is there are 3 pages on the Image Comics solicit
coincidence
that are usable.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So you're saying I should take them out. But anyway...
No. I'm not saying one or the other. I thought maybe you said you had 3 pages.
I don't roll that way. I picked my favorite pages. Yeah, and
almost like think of the Matrix in a way.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's sci-fi.
I mean, don't think of the Matrix visually, but as far
as
like thinking of things that things that are possible.
There are sci-fi elements in it. There's also fantasy elements. If you ever wanted to see a frog using a high caliber machine gun, then this is the book for you. Like it has a devil may care, like Wind and the Wuthering type air, where there's anthropomorphic animals mixed with human beings, mixed with fantasy creatures, very exotic fantasy locales. But then there's also like a science fiction element in it too. It's a real odd stew of elements, but I think it works really well because you don't know what to expect from page to page. It's a family story, but it's really odd and really strange in all the best ways. And the visuals are by Rossmo and Daniel Warren Johnson. Yeah. Rossmo does the bulk of it, but Daniel throws in too. And it's just there was one character that pops up. Oddly enough, the name of the character is also the name of one of my favorite bands. And I want to write Daniel right now and say, I need the vinyl. I need this to be a figure because it's just amazing. Very, very sharp character design. Some of it plays upon character tropes we've experienced for decades and decades. Like there's a very strong female character in it who's a lot like Big Barda.
Yeah.
And so that to me is very smart because you have this archetype of like somewhat of an Amazonian warrior woman who just reacts and acts, doesn't think about the ramifications of her actions. She just does. And unfortunately, her companion is not like that. And he's a loser. But anyway, I think it's a really very good start, amazing start. You need to get in on this because if you don't buy the physical first issue, you're going to be kicking yourself because prices are going to go up on this. You know how it is with DWJ and Riley Rossmo. So if you don't get a physical copy, don't blame us because we're telling you about it. Next week, this thing comes out. It's going to sell out. I mean, Daniel...
Felix is like that dude in the meme with the yellow suit on, standing behind the tree, rubbing his hands together.
You know, that was one of the things I was thinking. I was like, this issue is a gold mine because usually
I'm sure it sold complete to some
Right.
some Middle Eastern magnate at this point already.
But there are, they cherry pick in some instances where you'll have a page that, or a number of pages that stand out from the pack as being like visually diverse and amazing, and whatever that thing is that compels people to buy certain pages, all of the pages in this thing have that. So if you gave me a budget and you said, I want you to buy 1 or 2 pages from this book for me, I wouldn't know what to pick because each page is as good as the one before and after. There's just so much going on. And again, I'm sorry we're being kind of vague because we really can't detail the plot because it doesn't come out till next week. But it's phenomenal. And I'm just so happy to see Riley at Image doing stuff.
Well, and I think it's doubly fun because, for newer listeners, they might not remember that we knew Riley for, close to a decade as a guy who was working on the indie scene and not about that big 2 life, right?
Yeah,
and
Proof.
He finally made the and Cowboy Ninja Fight. He did a lot of things.
Yeah.
But he finally made the leap and obviously thrived at DC and hopefully stacked up his bank account, right? Made his name that much bigger. And I just think, and obviously Dan's star has gone supernova.
Right.
So I'm hoping this is just an absolute smash hit, right? That's our hope.
I don't see how
both good friends of ours. And
yeah.
I just think it's. Yeah.
I don't see how it couldn't be, but it is the Kirkman manifesto in action. Yes, he started in indies, but I love, right. I love Proof, but how many copies did that move? Even at its peak, come on.
Oh yeah.
And so he went to DC and did stellar work, and everybody was clued in. This guy's amazing, and now he's at Image, and I hope he grows roots there. I hope he stays there, because you want to see these super talented guys, not only make ends meet but thrive, right? Again, that seems to be one of the topics of this episode, but it's true. Exceptional work should find an audience. In a perfect world, it usually doesn't, right? The fact that Daniel Warren Johnson became as popular as he has, that mystifies me, because Daniel's not. You look at his art. It's raw. It's dirty. It's very expressionistic, and that all those things don't factor into fan favorite, right? Usually, but he managed to, for whatever reason, but maybe multiple reasons, find his thing and excel at it, and people just picked up on it, like Scotty, right?
Like
Where Scotty leans more towards the traditional expectations of a fan favorite big 2 artist. Yes, he's done his stuff at Image, but look at all the stuff Scotty did for Marvel. Like, that added to the bank account immeasurably. So,
he's still banging out 73 covers a month for them. So
right. You can't front on that. It's if you please a bunch of people and there's an audience for you, just keep making this stuff. But
listen, how many times this episode have we mentioned creators that we think are literally couldn't, like, were near destitute? So
right.
Anytime someone can make real significant money and stack it away and build wealth,
right,
I say go for it, man. Like, no shade whatsoever.
Yeah, it's true. You are smart, Jason Wood. So get yourself to a comic shop next week and pick up The Moon is Following Us, #1. You'll be extremely sorry if you don't do it. It's not a hard sell. I'm just telling you the truth. This book is visually stunning. Its story's great too. So, yeah,
nice.
Yeah, it's good
What
stuff.
else we got, Booze?
Got a ton of stuff.
I see you got a little manga up in here.
I do, yes.
Because I'm not allowed to talk about the manga that I read because get a bunch of.
Well, again, just like Richard Corben, I don't know why you're not reading this series.
Well, I'd like to know why you guys aren't reading them.
You got cut off. I don't know why. You must have hit the pause button.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't know why we're not reading what, the Sea Serpent's Heir?
No, the fucking UFO mushroom invasion, dog.
I'm not reading it because it's not in my hands yet.
Yeah.
Dude, it's bought and paid for. Once a month. I like to savor my books. I don't need them every week to read them willy-nilly and then forget about them the next day. I like to get that stack and smell the
I know
paper.
we're not putting our memories to the test, are we? Because I remember things.
Really?
Yeah.
I could never consume comics or anything for that matter. Movies, TV, like you do. You're like a
No,
sponge.
that's true. You couldn't, but that doesn't
can't.
mean I don't remember them.
I'm not saying that at all because I know you do. But you have this breakneck pace where you just have to you just consume. I can't do that. Can't.
Just about optimizing time, my man.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that.
It's a superpower. That's true. I appreciate you recognizing it.
It is. I don't have that. Yeah. But
Real quick before you get into what you're going to get into, thoughts on Transformers 1?
What do you mean Transformers 1?
The movie. The movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, it hasn't come out.
Thoughts on it? I saw the trailer.
Or do you think it's going to be good? Or are you going to
No, I
avoid
thought the trailer was a hoot. Yeah, I'll probably enjoy it. I'm not a purist when it comes to Transformers. Anything they want, if they're retconning Orion Pax's history, I really don't care. As long as it's fun and it's watchable, right?
I am shocked by that.
Why?
Because you're the old curmudgeon who hates when anything gets changed to the things that you love.
I've seen so many iterations of Transformers, it doesn't faze me when they dick with the lore. I just don't care.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, if you
it's
can
just funny
survive
to hear
Beast...
you say that because I have no interest in seeing this movie because I'm like, I don't want to see like
I think
Optimus
it's fun.
and Megatron as buddies in like a buddy movie. That doesn't make
Dude, it's cute. It's fun. Come on.
to me cute. All right, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want them to be at their throats? How many times have we seen that?
But that's what it is.
Granted, yes, but could be an Elseworld.
Yeah, says the guy that anytime we mention Kamala Khan, he's like, ridiculous. That
She's just not. I just don't find her compelling on any level. I struggle to draw the line between a retcon of Optimus Prime and Kamala Khan. Like, how does that? Where are you going with that? You're shaming me for whatever reason.
No, because your issue with all the legacy characters, you can't stand. You always like, what's the point of adding a new character in this vein? Like,
it's
I don't
true.
see the need for it.
I don't like Janice Vell's son either. I think
that's what I'm saying. So
I never
my point
found
is, it's like that fascinates me that you like. That's the thing that like that's the turnoff for you,
right?
But then like turning characters, which I think at least based on how long I've known you, you have an absolute adoration for.
I do.
Into like different versions where they're literally like slapstick buddies, like that. You're like, oh, I'm cool with that. Like that. That's just. Well, that seems like a disconnect to me, but I mean, it's not. But it seems like it to me.
I guess maybe I'm just a little bit more laid back than you. I'm more accepting.
When I think of you, I just think of Mr. Relax.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
No, I guess I can tell you why I don't truck legacy characters at Marvel because maybe I have a cutoff date in my mind where my Marvel exists.
1963.
That's before I was born, Fred.
But I'm going with the start.
Right, like say 1963 to maybe
1970.
No, I would go all the way up to 1980.
Oh, look at you!
Like that's my Marvel.
Such a futurist,
right?
Such a futurist.
And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy anything after 1980. I sure did, but
I was going to say you can't stop talking about the symbiotes, and they didn't exist in that.
Exactly. I like stuff. I mean, but the very conceit of a symbiote is they can replicate, duplicate different kinds. There's all like, it's this organism that can split and make different things. So yeah, all bets are off. But the legacy characters like Spider-Boy, I have zero interest in reading that. I know you said
really
it's good. You said right. Yeah. You said it's good, but I would rather read UFO Mushroom Invasion. Like there's only so many hours in the day.
No argument there. Yeah, no argument there.
So I mean, I'm curating my purchasing now, where everything that I have it down to everything that comes in the box is not only desired but will be read. Almost, I say immediately, but that's like within the space of 2 or 3 weeks.
To that I tip your cap because I have not figured out how to do that. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, I've just lopped off all the singles. I thought the singles were just
No, I mean it's really I'm impressed by that. It's because how many times have we all? It's like
right.
Just really hard, at least for me to actually do.
Right. I haven't lopped all. I'm the Ghost Machine books and Savage Dragon are the only books that I'm getting in singles. And I'm just stunned that Jeff Johns is a contender for my Writer of the Year. I'm actually.
If he doesn't win,
I'm actually stunned. It's a big.
I think he's got to be your prohibitive favorite.
Well, I don't know. Eric did release a ton of Savage Dragon this year.
That is true.
That's true.
Why'd you say, "Oh God"?
But
what's wrong with you?
You could be your writer artist. Yeah, he could be your creator of the year.
Yeah. Or your favorite superhero book, and then John's. Yeah, writer artist. It does. Yeah, either way.
Yeah, I don't consider any of the Ghost Machine books superhero books.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So John's your writer.
Yeah.
Savage Dragon could be your superhero book, but I know I've
told you this before, and you probably won't. You'll read it like 4 years from now and be like, it was so good. But I keep telling you how good Philadelphia is, but Savage Dragon's in that.
And that's Jason Sean Alexander, who I love his art.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was, again, one of the only reasons to keep buying Spawn for a good stretch. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking, I realized I finished it before coming up tonight, but I didn't put it on my list. But speaking of symbiotes,
I thought it was going to be a Man Who Travels, but speak on it. Yeah, let's do it.
I did. I read Venom War Spider-Man #2.
Oh, not where I thought you were going with this. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no. Well, there's only because I read the first issue of Venom War, and I didn't read Wolverine yet, but I started reading the second issue of Venom War, but I wanted to finish the second issue of the Spidey tie-in first, just to see if it continued the good times of the first issue. Unfortunately, there was just a little bit too much jackpot in the second issue for me, but
face it, Tiger.
One panel of jackpot is too much.
It's true.
You know what, guys? Now we're just throwing the affronts at me tonight.
No, we're not throwing the affronts. Who instigated this character? I want to know.
Oh no! In all seriousness, I love. There's an urban super. No, I have no interest in that.
And I just and of course, if Greg Land's drawing her, so I mean, she's got so much hair in one panel and then bangs in another. It's just it's the inconsistencies drive me mad. And Renee and I were watching we were flipping through
Love Island
YouTube Shorts or something like that, and we there's a comic book reviewer, and he was talking about the second issue of Venom War, and he was kind of going into like some pretty heavy detail, and as far as the main Venom War series is the art by let me just bring the issue up. Because I like it. I believe my man was on Ms. Marvel for a second, but the main Venom War series is written by Al Ewing. Ivan Coelho is the artist, and the art on Venom War is fast paced, kinetic. It's good, and so he's showing some panels, and he's telling you about the story. So Renee had asked me if I read it, and I said, well, I'm not reading the entire event. I said, honestly, I was not planning on reading it, except Vince was talking it up, so I figured I'd check it out, so at least we could talk about something together on the show. So Venom War itself is fun. I've only read this, the Zombiotes first issue. I have the Wolverine issue queued up. I haven't checked it out yet because Kev Walker's drawing that one, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's like, hey, there's an event miniseries. Let's get Kev Walker to draw it. So we got, but yeah, I just I found out way more about Jackpot and Paul and basically he's her microchip or her guy behind the scenes doing all the fancy work, so her powers or her suit or her gauntlet can work. But I liked knowing more about the relationship between Peter and the symbiote, but the main Venom War series is at least the 1.5 issues I've read so far is way more entertaining than I expected it to be.
Oh yeah, it's big dumb fun. That's all it is.
It is. Yeah.
When your main series is wrestling based, it's just silliness. Like it.
And I guess there's no Madison Square Garden in the.
I guess not. Anymore? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for all intents, it's Madison Square Garden, but yeah, it's the Venom War Spider-Man is a total whiff. It really is.
It's a waste of Jackson and Lansing.
Yeah.
Oh damn, that hurts my heart.
Oh, I mean, because they're telling a good story. It's just
right. They are.
No, okay. Let me refine the comments. The story is, I think it adds to the main series in that we get the back and forth between Peter and the symbiote, who have massive history. So again, it's a callback to fun days in Amazing Spider-Man. But again, pinching a baby, kicking a puppy. I'm not going to say anything about Greg Land's art. I'm just not. Like, yeah, it's too easy.
It is what it is. And I screwed up Jackson Lansing's one of the writers. It's Colin Kelly and
it's Kelly and Lansing.
Yeah. I always think of Colin and Jackson.
It was your birthday week, so I didn't
because
want
of
to
your boys. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, before we get off this topic, because I didn't think we'd go down the shaft yet, but the reason I thought you were going to talk about Venom War 1 is because our fourth chair, Mr. Tony Fleece, it is his official first ever Marvel book.
Yeah. I didn't read it yet.
That's right. Yeah,
Tim Seeley and Tony Fleece are the writers. Team Local Man with Kev Walker on art, and it warms my heart because obviously that's how it all starts, right? You do a good job with that.
Yeah.
You do a good job with the tie-in miniseries. They like your process. You deliver the goods, then you get a shot at an ongoing, and then the next thing you know, Tony could be writing fucking X-Men in a year. Who knows? You never know. It's not impossible.
It would be great. Yeah,
it would be an improvement.
It would get me way more excited about Marvel than I am currently. So
that's very true.
I mean, I will be fully honest with you. I mean, no surprise given where I am right now with Marvel in general and where I am with symbiotes, like at all times. This isn't the issue I would have hoped that Tony got his big break on. But that being said, I think all three people mentioned, the creative team, the core of the creative team, are all very good at their jobs, and I thought it was a very well done issue. It not in any way a story that just bluntly speaking, if Tony hadn't written this, I wouldn't have read it.
We get that, yeah.
But I think he did he and Tim, because they're co-writers, did a great job, and I like Kev Walker's art a lot. So I think the issue was certainly good for what it was, and I really do genuinely hope it's. The only thing I care about here is that the editors that assigned the book to Tony and Tim really like the work that they put into it.
I think it's a matter of you get the work done, you do a good job, you get it in on time, and you probably will get more work.
I mean, look at that's how it worked with Tom King.
Right.
Or a lot. I mean, we know a lot of people. I mean, Tom toiled away, and then he got shot to do. He did a couple of the the one shot thematic one shots. He did short stories, right, and then he got a mini series, and then he got Grayson, and then the rest is history. So you never know.
Yeah. Tim and
again with Tim Seeley too. Yeah, we're great.
Yeah, they're Tim and Tony are like inseparable these days.
Yeah, right. They're booze.
You think they're fucking?
I think they're fucking
Yeah, I bet they are.
Yeah.
Hey,
you think Tony's the top or the bottom?
No, Tony's definitely the bottom. Oh man, get out of my head! Get out of my head! All right, let me look at the clock on the wall here because we have an In Your Travels to do.
We got tons of times, dude.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have another book that was graciously, lovingly, thankfully sent to me by Mr. Daniel Bryan. When this came out, for whatever reason, I didn't get it. And then Jason talked about it, and I thought, well, he liked it. How good can it be? But
Well,
it's actually really good. It's
God forbid, yeah.
It's called Shadows over Springfield by Harry Nordlinger. And it's a really smart take on The Simpsons because I love books like this as a creative person, because all of the work that is foisted upon the writer is already done going into it. We know completely who these characters are. You don't even, all you have to do is you say Homer Simpson and we get it. We know this character. And so this is a pastiche on The Simpsons. All of the heavy lifting is done way before page 1. So we're good. We know. And it hits the ground running. I mean, it's extremely dark. It was a very, very difficult read because Bart and Homer and Moe murder Bart and cut him up in little pieces and put him in a trash bag. And Homer carries the secret throughout the entire book. Marge, of course, is distraught, and Lisa, the intelligent child that she is asking questions. So Homer has to clean up that loose end, so he kills Lisa. And it spirals from there. And Jason's giggling, but I mean, I thought this book was incredibly well done in that it takes these beloved characters and just puts them through a meat grinder. And I'm a sadistic prick. So I love it when someone takes a sacred cow, or in this case, the whole damn farm, and just mangles them, because it hits really hard. It's a dark look at Springfield. Homer, well, I don't want to say too much because I think there's a lot of shock value in this book. So I'll leave the specific details to the reader. But yeah, it's basically just Milhouse at the end. It's just poor, pathetic Milhouse alone. It's a great book. It's I don't know how many pages, maybe 30 some odd pages, black and white. And you could tell that at least I perceive that Harry is a fan of The Simpsons, because number one, why would you embark on a project like this if you weren't? Or maybe you just hate The Simpsons to the point where you just want to maim and kill all of the characters, because that's kind of what this book is. It's a bloodbath in Springfield. So, Shadows over Springfield by Harry Nordlinger. If you're a fan of The Simpsons, you will love this. If you detest The Simpsons, you may love this even more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful.
My man.
It's a smart take, really smart take.
I like when you step out of your comfort zone of the big two and try an indie comic.
God.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, wait. Who's the publisher? Let me see. It's
Vacuum Decay.
No, is it?
Hmm?
Well, it doesn't say anywhere on here Vacuum Decay. That's not right.
I thought it was, but
the end papers are pink frosted donuts with sprinkles, and there's 2 bites taken out of them. So really, really sharp.
Sure it's Vacuum Decay, but anyway.
Well, no, there's not even a indicia. There's no publisher at all on this.
Well, he kickstarted it.
Oh.
Back in the day. So I think you can find it on Vacuum Decay.
Right. It's worth every penny. The back cover says $8, but it's worth it. Put it this way. You'll not soon forget it.
That's true.
Yep.
Good.
Who would you say among the three of us is the biggest Simpsons fan?
You, by a country, what? By
that's not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Like you're like 50 times more of a Simpsons fan than Dap and I combined.
My sweet spot, my Simpsons golden age is after the first couple seasons, after the animation got a little bit more polished, kind of like when Conan O'Brien was executive producer around that era, and so
I didn't even know he ever produced The Simpsons. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Or at least one of the writers, but he's definitely part of the team. But but there was a good chunk it was a good few years, and I mean, we're talking about when he did the baseball team, and the parodies were fun. But then there was a time when I stopped watching it every Sunday, and now Renee and I will turn on like Disney Plus or whatever, and just like run through a marathon of episodes every once in a while. But
what's it, 32 years?
Yeah, something like that. And it's nuts, and it's still. But even the new stuff, like I mean, when they were making fun of when they were spoofing when Lisa was spoofing Death Note, or all the episodes set in the future, things like that. And I've enjoyed seeing where the show has gone, and how timely some of the episodes are, and how quick they are with jumping on trends or current events. And I like just kind of I don't feel the need that I have to watch it when an episode premieres. I can just take my time and sit down. So I mean, I've been a fan of the franchise pretty much since its inception, since the Tracy Ullman days. But as far as the comics or any vinyl or anything like that, that's all you. I would not even attempt to battle anybody on trivia when it comes to The Simpsons. I know what I like, but I wouldn't be able to throw down like that.
I have I don't even know what the name of it is, but it's a giant ass book. It's about 4 or 5 inches thick, that when it was published detailed every episode of The Simpsons. It's in a slipcase and everything. Mm-hmm. Now it's probably woefully out of date. You could probably publish another one of similar size. But I'm glad you mentioned Tracy Ullman, because the art in this is more akin to the depiction of the family in the Tracy Ullman days. Like it's not as refined as the later stuff. Homer especially is kind of wonky, but I like wonky Homer. I don't like super streamlined. I shouldn't say that. I like the less streamlined Homer better than after they ironed out all the wrinkles in the character design. Yeah, it's a really good book. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like Simpsons, I watched like most people our age, I watched the show from its inception for a long time, I mean, well over a decade. And that, I mean, it's been at least 15 years since I've watched the show. I totally reconnected with The Simpsons because of the Omnibus, because of the Treehouse of Horror omnibuses.
Yeah, they're so nice. Again, third volume.
And volume 3, I guess you're waiting for that, right? That's coming soon?
Yes, waiting for that in my box.
I didn't even put it on my list yet because I figured I knew you had to. Yeah, volume 3. Get it if you don't have it.
I have a spot on my shelf that has Simpsons, Tree, House of Horror, Omnibus 1, 2, and 3 when it comes. And then next to it, I have the slipcased SpongeBob book that Abrams also put out. Yeah. If Andrew Peepoy would just fess up, maybe I'd get some closure on Bongo, but he won't do it.
Dap, how uncomfortable was that?
Oh, you're both crazy.
When he was trying to talk to dude about the Simpsons stuff.
Oh, Peepoy? Yes. Yeah, I know.
Why? I
was going to ask if you wanted to get when Jason couldn't be on last time.
Awkward.
Yeah, I know.
It was really rough.
It was just nonstop.
Why? He wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, yes. Awkward. And the fact that you just
he made it very clear he had no interest in telling you, and you.
Right.
Well, I thought maybe he'd change his mind, like the next time I saw him.
Yeah. Okay. That's
third time.
So this is why this is why they choose the bear. So you have.
I don't know what that means.
So yeah, in the fall of '91, Conan O'Brien signed on as writer and producer, and this is why. So this is why there's some of my favorites. He wrote Marge versus the Monorail.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love that one. He did the wraparounds of Treehouse of Horror 4. New Kid on the Block, Homer Goes to College. I mean, he's some of the more popular ones during that era. His name is attached to it, but and of course he came back to do, or I don't know if he came back because by this point he was doing the Conan O'Brien show. He was on the episode where Bart gets famous, where Bart goes on Conan O'Brien and has to do his catchphrase and things like that. But no, there's the early to mid 90s, and I don't even think I'd say late 90s is my Simpsons sweet spot.
I'm like the ultimate entitled fan, because I spend thousands of dollars on Simpsons comics over the years, and I think that should buy me a little bit of information.
Absolutely. Well,
no, I totally disagree.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Andrew's NDA covers on.
Yeah,
it was worth a shot. Oh well.
You're so crazy.
So weak. Hey everybody, we thank you so very much for being here with us. Come back next time, but in the meantime, wherever you listen to this, please leave us a review, because it's important. It matters, and it just adds to the stack. We have a good amount of iTunes reviews, but we can always use more. Comment.
I'd love to see some on Spotify. I like the Spotify reviews.
That's nice. Yeah, just comment on anything. Vince is a jerk. Audio sounds great. Whatever. Please.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday. Yeah, of course. Happy birthday month, Dap. Please solicit our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, because nobody in the entire world wants to spend more on comics than they have to. Cheapgraphicnovels.com will get you all the stuff you want at very, very reasonable discounts. So go there. And remember, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. There's a mess of trouble going on. It's just great. Wonderful stuff. I'm looking at my list for my In Your Travels. What do I have here? I have, let's see, so weak.
Weak.
Oh, I don't want to talk. Well, all I'll say is this. I want to talk about this more in detail, but if you're not reading Die Dark, you seriously, what the hell is wrong with you? Because it is by far some of the most inventive, unpredictable, just bonkers, over-the-line comics that you will read. It's one of those books where you can't even try and predict where the narrative is going, because it's so freaking strange that there's no pigeonholing this book. It's just amazing. My cat is going to jump on my laptop. It is phenomenal. Die Dark. Just go read it, because it's some of the best comics, not just manga, some of the best comics being published right now. And I'll talk about it in depth probably next time. So do that. Read it.
Hope so.
The 7th volume just came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
You see, it's so good.
It's good, yeah.
I just don't want to get into it, because I'll go down that rabbit hole.
No, I don't blame you.
It's one of those books where the mechanics of the narrative are so weird and strange that you have to kind of explain just what the status quo is before you start detailing the characters. It's just wacky. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's why this worked out, because In Your Travels isn't something that you necessarily need to go in depth on during the regular portion of the show. So it's good to just, this particular volume of Ms.Tree, subtitled Deadline, by Max Allan Collins and Terry Beatty. We're covering the Aardvark Vanheim days after they kind of done 9 issues or so over at Eclipse. Dave Sim figured, let's add a book to our publishing line, and brought over Max and Terry. So Deadline collects Ms.Tree numbers 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, up to 17. Then we jump ahead to issues 32, 33, 34, and then the Files of Ms.Tree Volume 3, which is a Mike Mist case book. And so the last story in this collection is Ms.Tree and Mike Mist going to Hawaii to avenge the death of someone that Mike knows, and stop a couple of grifters and con men from grifting and conning other people. This volume reminded me a lot of Andrew Vax, and if
Yeah.
anybody is familiar with Vax, he is he died in 2021. He's a crime fiction author. He had a series of novels which I've never read, the Burke series. I'm familiar with him because I've seen I'd see his name pop up from time to time. But he wrote a Batman story dealing with child abuse, and his claim to fame, or what he was really passionate about, was child protection, and he was an attorney representing exclusively children and youths. He cared about the kids. He wanted no wrong ever to be done to any child, and he was important for that reason. But because this volume of Ms.Tree deals with runaways and underage porn stars and just children who have either been taken advantage of, ended up on the wrong side of the tracks. There's pimps picking up kids at bus stops in this volume. So I just got a very big Vax vibe reading this volume, and the stories are basically, listen, someone comes to Tree Investigations for whatever reason, she takes the case. It rarely ends well for the people either she's investigating or the basically anybody who gets in her way. But there aren't too many happy endings if you're against Michael Tree. I did have to chuckle a few times because her stepson, Michael Jr., who could have went to live with his grandmother, his paternal grandmother, but ends up Michael has custody of her stepson. And for anybody who isn't familiar with the character or didn't read the earlier volumes or any of the earlier comics, Michael Tree married a Mike Tree, and Michael Jr. is of course Mike Tree's son, but so her name's Michael. The only really other famous female Michael I'm aware of, but there's a scene where she rescues Mike Jr., and when she comes into the room, he calls her Ms.Tree, and I'm like, why would you call it? It's so weird to see someone being rescued by their stepmother, and granted, you may not be close, but I don't know why you would scream out, Ms.Tree, I'm over here. It's like it is just one of those little moments that just, it didn't stop me from enjoying the story, but it was just a moment where I was just like, that was just hella weird, and I just kept reading along. But the art by Terry is great. The first story, titled Deadline, is from 1984, and then and it's nice to see Beatty's art, because like I said, we went from like issues 11 through 17 and then jumped to issues 32. But the Mike Miss story is from 1985, but the last story, Collecting Runaway Part 2, is from 1986. So we go over the course of a couple of years in this volume. You see Beatty's art improve over the months, and but the stories are pretty straightforward. Good versus evil, and Tree is a hard ass. She has an attitude, and but she definitely knows right from wrong, and she knows about justice, and she is definitely somebody you'd want on your side. But this volume was a lot of fun. I ordered the volume that was in last month's previews and realized that I missed the volume, so it was in the offered again section. So I'll have two, hopefully, in an upcoming box. But yeah, I'm still enjoying the hard case crime line from Titan. It's a little larger than a manga volume, smaller than a traditional trade, but the issues are the volumes are definitely packed. So if you haven't, they're also not being reprinted. They're not being collected chronologically as they were published, because the volumes started with the DC stuff, which was much later after Max and Terry did their indie days. So, but yeah, you can pick up any volume, and catch up really quickly. There's not a lot of baggage or backstory, and almost every other story you get a little bit of a. There are times where I think Max channels his inner Chris Claremont because you can definitely get caught up on who everybody is and what they do. It's like a typical PI story where you're always going to hear the narrator tell you about the other characters in the story. But in your travels, check out any of the volumes from Ms.Tree.
Looking back on that, it totally bamboozles me how this book found a home at Aardvark Vanaheim. Like a self-assured, self-reliant woman. Did Dave not look at the books before he published them?
Sure.
But I don't think he was over the edge.
And that's exactly what and that's exactly what Max said. That Sim-backed Ms.Tree may have come to a surprise to some. The Comics Journal did not like us, and its writers were vocal about it. Years later, I get it. Then to a degree, it was just so. It was a weird fit, but it worked out for a little while. Everybody, I guess, made money, but yeah, you're right.
Strange, really strange.
And I'd say very strange.
Great comic, though. Yep, you should read it if you haven't. Jason,
yes,
what it is?
Vince, I want it in the show description because it's an all ages orama. Because in your travels, I want folks to check out Unico: The Awakening. Now, we've been talking about Tezuka-san a lot this year because a lot of his stuff has been adapted again, readapted or brought over here. And this is another modern adaptation of one of his classics. His classic, of course, being Unico, which is a story of a young unicorn with magic powers that came out in the late 70s. And then was turned into a series of anime movies in the early 80s. And then we didn't really hear anything about the character for almost 30 years, but his estate, along with Octos Publishing, released a Kickstarter a few years ago that I backed, and it was fulfilled early this year, which is a modern-day reimagining of it with the blessing of the Tezuka heirs. And it's written by Sam Satin, with 2 T's, and it's drawn by Guru Hiru, which is a name that we American comics fans will probably remember from their run on Deadpool, and some other things.
Superman Smashes the Klan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
The Spidey and Venom little all ages book. I like them a lot.
Yeah, so this is exactly what it sounds like. It is them just modernizing the story of Unico, and it's wonderful. It's Unico looks like a My Little Pony, kind of, it's drawn that way, and only as with a horn, and but wildly powerful and really kind-hearted. And basically, Unico's power is to make people happy. So
it's like
granting
me.
Wishes.
It's like me.
Yeah, it's like you, but it's like granting wishes, but without the monkey's paw angle. Like she genuinely granting wishes. And in this first volume, it sets up a story. It's where essentially the goddess Venus gets pissed off at Unico for some of the things that Unico is doing, and punishes Unico by erasing Unico's memory and shifting him off to a new place. And he, absent the memory of his purpose in life or all of his past good deeds, he just goes right about his business of doing more good deeds, and that pisses Venus off even more. But it's really, really fantastic. It's Guru Hiru's perfect fit for this. The imagery is got a slick feel, almost like you're looking at cell animation of an anime more than say a manga. But I liked it. I thought it worked well, and it's a cute story with a lot of heart and well paced. And it is volume 1. There's gonna be, I think it's going to be for sure. We're going to get more volumes because after the Kickstarter was successfully funded, they did sell the book to Scholastic, which of course is your king moneymaker. That's where if you want to make money in comics these days, you get a Scholastic to publish it, and because then all the kids are going to get it. But so the volume, I think this August was when the first Scholastic volume hit them streets. So yeah, I think we'll see more of this. But in the meantime, you can check out this 224-page first version. It's readily available everywhere. You probably can't get the Kickstarter version that I got, but you can get the Scholastic version. I assume there's no real difference between them other than the cover. And yeah, it's just fun and a lot of heart. I'm sure Tony's probably going to check this out because it feels MLP adjacent to me.
MLP adjacent. Hey, you know the Italian translation of my surname, right?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Goodwill.
Ah, very nice.
Isn't that fitting?
It is.
Right. Hey, everybody. We thank you for being here. We hope you come back next time because we'll be here waiting for you. Open arms. Well, they won't be open because they'll be full of comics, and we'll be talking about them. So come back. In the meantime, say goodnight.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
David.
Oh. Good night. David. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yes, sir.
We need more sound for the soundboard.
Yes.
We need more stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, they're fun, but we could do
Repetitive.
Yeah. See, I click on so weak and it does the crickets. That's not fun. I'm not.
And the crickets sound weak.
I'm not ponying up for this Nitro thing, whatever it is.
No.
Yeah. We love you, people. Tell them that. And
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
Love
See you
you.
next week.
That's it for that one.